Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well today. I've got the Merlin out today and it needs new strings, so I thought I'd show you how to change the strings real quick. Now this is the D model and they make strings for that. Godin Guitars that makes this Merlin makes a set of strings for the Merlin, for the D model. You see how it says 12, 16, and 25 is our gauges here. Okay, so they've labeled them here, so it's pretty easy to figure out which one goes where. But first we need to get these other strings off. So what we'll do here is loosen them up. And you should never be afraid, or concerned about changing your strings. It's easy to do. Anybody can do it. So we'll get them nice and loose. Now I want to point out something to you. You'll see there that the strings wrap around our tuning peg poles here, okay? And they wrap around, the top ones wrap around the bottom of the pole and go up, both of them. They wrap around the bottom and go up, and the bottom two wrap around the top and circle down, okay? So that's important, and we want to make sure we do that after we change it out. Now, as a shortcut, instead of unwinding this all the way, I'm just going to nip them off with a set of nippers. Just any kind of wire cutters will do here. Then we've got all these extra bits. So now we just come in here and unwind it off of the pole on each one. And that's much faster than twisting the pegs a million times. So, you can twist the pegs if you want, or you can do it this way, which is a little faster. So I'll just take all those off real quick. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to wrap these around each other so I have control of them and know where they're at. And then our other ones, I'm just going to shove through our hole to take out. And they are loop end strings. So right here is where you need to think about if you're going to buy, let's say you're going to buy a set of Dulcimer strings, which is perfectly fine. A standard set of Dulcimer strings will work and is cheaper than this. This was about 10 bucks. I'll leave the link below for it if you want these strings. But if you want the Dulcimer strings, that's totally fine. Just standard mountain Dulcimer strings. But you got to make sure that they are ball end and not loop end, because loop end would not have this little piece in it and it would not work with your hole. It would just go right through the hole. So you got to make sure of that, okay? All right, so now I've got those pieces taken care of. So now that we've got our strings off, we need to take a rag, dish rag, and wipe down our fretboard to clean it off. Now, if our fretboard is dry, or we want to condition it and clean it, you can get a product for that. And I recommend this one. This is called Music Nomad Fretboard F1 Oil. And I'll leave a link below for it. This is good stuff because it has 100% natural oils in it, so it won't harm any woods, and it's got no petroleum or wax in it. So it's just got a little nozzle like that. So I'll just take the corner of my rag once I've given it a good wipe down, and I'll just put a little bit on my rag there and I'll rub it in. And I'm just rubbing it in there. Ooh, it's got a nice lemony smell too. Probably some lemon oil in there. And I just used probably about 4 drops. And that'll do this entire fretboard. And I'm just rubbing it in pretty good. And that just does a good job of cleaning, conditioning our fretboard. So now I'll go back with a dry portion of rag, and I'm just going to wipe down. If I have any excess or anything like that, I would wipe it down. But I used such a small amount that I don't have any excess. It just soaked it right up. So I'm going to go back and just wipe down each fret wire there to make sure I didn't leave any oil on it. Okay, there we go. And you see how it doesn't change the color of it or anything like that. It looks great. Now, if you were worried about that, you could test a tiny little drop of it, like put it on a Q-tip, test a tiny little spot of it. But it's 100% oil, so it's not going to hurt anything. Okay, now let's get on with putting these strings on. And our first and second string go in the same hole. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get out my first and second string, open them up. They're the same size, same gauge, and we're going to put them both together like so. So we'll just feed those right into the hole there, and it comes up through the top. We'll just grab them and pull. All right, and that's our first and second string. Now you'll see on the bridge, as you move along here, you'll see on the bridge right here 2 little indents. Now that bridge does pop out, so be careful that you don't lose that when you're flipping it over and stuff like that. But we're just gonna feed our wires into our 2 little indents there and pull it tight. We just keep tension on it all the way up, and then I'll change to my right hand to keep tension on it as I'm coming up. And I'm going to take the one that I've designated as the bottom string, and I'm going to put that one in first. And remember, we want to make sure that it goes over the top of the pole and down. Okay, so I'm feeding that in, and I want to leave my hand up about like that for so that I'll have extra to go around, and then turning my peg so that it goes down over the top of the pole there. Got my excess pointed straight up, and I'll just start winding that around. You want it to wrap around the pole several times. You don't want, it to be 100 times, and you don't want it to be 2 times because it might slip if you do too little. And there we go. It's getting tighter. Now, as that one tightens up a little bit, you've got the other one, the second string. Okay. So I'm going to take our second string, take it over the top of the pole again. Okay. Now it's just a winding game. And we're winding and winding and winding here till we get them both snugly on there, but not tight or anything like that. We're going to tune them up later. So as we tighten them down to the fretboard, and now we'll just put them back in their grooves and make sure they're in their grooves all the way up, and then there's little grooves at the top for them as well, and your nut up there at the top. Okay, we've got those two on. Now let's work on the third string.
We feed it to the back here.
Okay, and then we put it into our groove, keep tension on it, bring it up, and the third string is the farthest one away from us as far as the top two. The third one is the farthest one away, and the fourth one is the closest one. So we've got our, now remember, we're going under the pole this time. When we go around, we want to make sure that we're underneath our pole, our string. All right, one more string to put on, and that is our only wound string on our D model Merlin. So it's a thicker string. All right, so we feed it into that last hole, pull it through, feed it into the bridge, keeping tension as we go up.
And feeding it through to where it'll go in the bottom and around the bottom of the pole, as I said before. Alright, so we pull back on that just to get enough slack in our string there, so we have some slack in it. Alright.
And we are almost finished already.
Uh-oh. What did I do there?
So now we have all of our strings on, but we've got a mess of wires at the top. So what we're going to do is cut those off with our cutting tool.
We want to get as close as we can to the bottom so we don't leave up a whole bunch of excess to cut ourselves on later, but just do your best there. Two down, two to go. Here we go.
Okay, now all we need to do is tune her up and play. Now keep in mind that new strings will stretch, so you'll have to tune this more than once. All right, got my handy dandy tuner here. We'll get her tuned up. And you just slowly bring them up to tune. there you go. That's a string change on the Merlin. Don't be afraid to do it. I'll do a string change on the G model Merlin at another time. But for now, that's your D model. If you have questions about the G model, you'll have to actually buy those strings separately, individually. Unfortunately, Godin does not make a set for your Merlin G. It's kind of crazy that they sell it that way, but they don't make a set of strings for it. So I'll put the gauges down below that you need to buy for your G model as well. Hope you enjoyed that, and I want you to have a beautiful, glorious day, and I want you to always remember that Jesus loves you. Bye-bye.